With me today, I have a brand new 2020 Lexus GX460. And for this model year, Lexus did a mid-cycle refresh. So now there are big changes on the outside. There's also small changes on the inside, including more standard safety features and more packages that wasn't offered before. So does that mean this is the best GX460 ever, and should you consider it? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. So in this review video, learn everything there is to know about this brand new GX460 so you can decide if it is the right SUV for you. Stay tuned.
Before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to McGrath Lexus of Westmont. They made this video possible. So if you're in the market for a new or used Lexus, make sure you check out their dealership. The URL is in the description below. Starting with the outside, this refreshed GX now gets a completely revised front end. The spindle grille is now bigger and has a 3D X formation that looks much better than before. The headlights are also stunning to look at with tri-beams and LED daytime running lights. The lower bumper has also been revised to fit the new grille as well as the turn signals and LED fog lights. There is a lip spoiler toward the bottom that can be seen on the front and the back. It is part of the sport design package this GX460 is equipped with. Now moving on to the side, the GX460 received little changes. The biggest ones are the wheels. They are brand new for 2020. The 19-inch dark gray metallic ones are really gorgeous, and again, part of the sport design package. There is some chrome trim on the mirrors, door handles, and lower window trim. There is also aluminum roof rails on the top. The backside has pretty much stayed the same. The overall shape still looks like a pier, narrow top and wider bottom. There's a large spoiler on top and a small spoiler on the bottom of the bumper from the sport design package. The exhaust tip is dark gray to match the wheels. Now, as for the tailgate, it's pretty unique. First of all, it opens sideways. This makes it very easy to open and easy to load things. And if you didn't want to open the tailgate completely, you can simply pop up the upper glass for quick access. You can open the upper glass too with the remote fob as well. Inside the trunk with the third row up, there's very little space for anything other than a few bags of groceries. With the third row down, however, there is a massive amount of trunk space. There is no hidden storage or cubby holes, unfortunately. The only feature back here is a household outlet on the right side. Now, folding down the third row is pretty easy. Pull on the straps to fold down the headrest first, then pull the handles, and they lie down flat. Getting them up is a little bit harder because of how far the bumper sticks out. On the GX460 luxury trim, you'll find power functions for the third row. Once you fold your seats back up, the bottom cushions is still retracted by default. You'll have to pull them out manually from the second row. Now, the second row of the GX is very spacious and filled with a pair of captain chairs, which also come with the sport design package. I'm 5 feet 10 and there's a good 3 inches of legroom left, even with the front seats pushed all the way back. In my normal driving position, there will be about 5 to 6 inches of legroom left. There's also equal amount in headroom. The second row seats slide forward and backwards and can also recline. As for amenities, there are heated seats, climate controls, and a pair of USB ports. To get access to the third row, simply pull on the recline lever and the seats fold forward and slide. Getting in and out of the third row, however, can be challenging for adults. The third row seats themselves are low to the ground. These are okay for adults for short trips and okay for kids. However, they should be reserved for emergencies. As for the engine, nothing changed in this department. The GX460 is still powered by a 4.6 liter V8 that is pushing 301 horsepower and 329 pound-feet of torque. Next, let's look at the front cabin. Alright, starting with the steering wheel, many of you guys will recognize this. This is shared across other Lexus SUVs, but that's okay. That's a modern design and it's a nice size. And then take a look. Not only do you get leather
on the sides and the bottom, but you also do get this glossy wood insert on the top and the bottom. And this is not normal wood. This is like a gray looking wood that's part of the sport design package that this GX460 has, and I love it. And this is not the only place you see it. You do see it in the dash and the door panel and over here in the center console, so you do see that quite a bit. But I like this steering wheel. It has the right thickness, and I'll let you guys know how this is once I start driving. Now in terms of the buttons, pretty easy. On this side, this is all for volume and mode, scrolling through different stations. Voice control, this is for your phones. Now over here, everything here controls that info screen inside the gauge cluster. Down here, there's a couple buttons for some of the new safety features and adaptive cruise control that I'll show you once I scroll in there. Now, in terms of these buttons, this is kind of like the home button. Anytime you want to go back, you simply press this. This is actually a back button. And then this is to scroll through. So right now, the default screen kind of shows you your fuel computer right now, right? Your odometer, what you're averaging, miles per gallon, miles per hour, so forth. Now, if you scroll to the right, this is where you can see other things. Steering angle. If you go down, you could see TPMS, so some information there. This is some of the safety features. This is warning and messages. And in terms of safety features, now across all trims for a GX460, Lexus Safety Suite, which is Safety System Plus, is now standard. So with that, you do get auto high beam, you get lane departure assist, blind spot monitoring, pre-collision system, which basically auto brakes for you. These are all now standard across all GX460s. So you could turn those on or off, right? And then there's other vehicle settings and meter settings that you can change in here. On the left, you have a regular tachometer. On the right, speedometer, and then you have a temperature and fuel gauge. And I do like how it has a silver ring on the outside, right? So it adds a little bit of contrast, a little bling, and I do like that a lot. Now moving on to the side, this is for your mirror control, this is for dimming, this is to reset your odometer, or your trip computer I should say. Auto high beam over here, on or off, traction control. This is the washing system for your headlights. This is for your fuel door, and this is for window control. And down here, you do have memory seats. All right, moving on to the middle here. This is where you have an 8-inch touchscreen. This is the infotainment screen. Now, unfortunately, this is a little dated and hasn't been updated in a long time. It is touch, however, so those of you guys that don't like to use buttons, you could use touch, but Lexus did give you a whole bunch of buttons everywhere in case you did not like to use the touch screen. So starting on the outside here, audio, nav, climate, home, and then this is for phone, apps, setups, and this is not a physical button. This is just to show you if your car's locked. Now, if you go to home, right, you could see that the graphical interface is kind of old and kind of outdated. It definitely doesn't have a modern look to it, but again, it is touch, so it does work, but there is a slight lag whenever you're pressing something. Now, there is 3 zones for climate control. That is part of the sport design package. Otherwise, you just get 2. And mostly, that is controlled down here. The only thing that you can't control physically is the fan control, which you have to do utilizing touch. Outside of that, everything else, there's a physical button for. So temperature up and down both sides, right? Auto, off, defroster, mirror defroster, and heated mirrors to control the temperature in the rear. And then this is a couple auto in terms of how you want circulating air or not circulating air. All right, so down here, this is of course for the radio. You do have a physical knob here for volume and power, tune and scroll, and then this is also a couple buttons for that as well. So overall, I know a lot of people complain that this is outdated and this could use an upgrade, and that is true. So things like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto are not standard on here. You cannot utilize them. So I think this is one of the weak spots for the GX460. Now down here, you do have ventilated and heated seats, 3 stages. It's not digital, it's analog, so you do have to turn it, right? And this is part of the sport design package as well, getting ventilated seats. Now over here, there's a cover, and if you open the cover, you can see a 12V outlet, 2 USB ports, aux port, and just space here for whatever, your phone or whatever. Now moving on, you do have a regular traditional shifter. This is a 6-speed automatic. Over here you have downhill assist control, which is basically kind of like cruise control for going downhill. This GX460 is full-time 4-wheel drive, so you are in H4 all the time. But if you wanted to go low 4, in case you're stuck in snow, you want to go off-roading, you can go into low 4. And along with that, over here you can lock your center differential, and this is to start in 2nd gear in case you're in a slippery situation. Now, something new for the 2020 GX460 is the off-road package, which this one is not equipped with. Now, the off-road package is around $1,600. You can only equip it on the luxury trim for the GX460, but with it, you do get a panoramic view monitor with multi-terrain monitor. Basically, you get like a cool 360 view of what's around you. You get crawl control, multi-terrain select, fuel tank protector, and a transmission oil cooler. So those of you guys that are actually looking to go off-roading with your GX460, this is definitely a package that you want to add on, and this is brand new for 2020. Now over here, you got 2 large cup holders, pretty standard. Now moving on to armrest, this is kind of interesting. This is dual stages, one for both the driver and passenger. That's unique. So you could actually adjust this forward and backward separately. I haven't seen that in any other car before. That's actually kind of cool. And then you can definitely open this and you have a tray for change or whatever, and you get a whole bunch of extra storage down there as well. Up here you got some HomeLink buttons, you have SOS for emergency, and you do have a fairly large sunroof, although it's not a panoramic one, and the panoramic is not available as an optional package. All right, let's go for a drive and see how this brand new GX460 handles the roads. Well, first impression is it's definitely a Lexus, and that is because it is so quiet in here. Very, very quiet. There's absolutely no wind noise, no road noise, but there is engine noise. Remember, this is a V8. I think Lexus did a really good job trying to insulate the exhaust. You really can't hear the exhaust, but you can hear the engine. But you can definitely tell this is a Lexus. It just feels quiet, it feels comfortable. And because this is a body-on-frame SUV, one of the only ones left on the market with a V8, you definitely get a very high commanding view of the road. When you get in, you could tell this is on the higher side. And I like that because unlike a lot of crossovers where you're kind of low to the ground, this is really up there and you can clearly see all around you. And with that, visibility is really good. So the side mirrors are absolutely humongous. You know, there's been times where I've reviewed a few cars where I said, yeah, the mirror looks kind of small. Not in this GX460. The mirrors are absolutely huge. And the windows, same thing. The front windshield, the back window, side windows, they're all very, very big. So in addition to the commanding view, visibility is absolutely fantastic. There's no problem seeing over the hood. Now, as for suspension, it's kind of mixed. On normal roads, smooth roads, is absolutely comfortable. But when you hit little bumps, imperfections, dips in the road, you could definitely feel it. I do feel it more than some of the other luxury SUVs I've driven. And also around the bends, if you're taking very sharp or aggressive turns, you'll definitely feel a lot of body roll. Okay, as for acceleration, just put my foot down, and I would say it's in between, adequate. 1 to 10 scale, probably right at a 5. It's definitely not slow. You know, you have a V8 over 300 horsepower, over 320 pound-feet of torque. So you do get that instant torque, right? But it just takes a while to get up there. So it's not the fastest SUV out there, but it could definitely get the job done. And because this has a V8 and this is a body-on-frame SUV, you can tow up to 6,500 pounds in this GX460 if you wanted to. The brakes, a little mushy. Like the first inch or so, I say it's a little mushy. And then the GX actually comes to a stop pretty quickly. So you got a little bit of mushiness and then it actually kicks in. Now in terms of steering, it's kind of mixed because I do like the weight. There's actually a good weight or heft to the steering. It's not very light at all. Unfortunately though, there is slight play in the steering that kind of takes, you know, the precision and the feel away from it. So it's kind of mixed. In terms of the steering wheel feel though, however, I really dig this. The leather actually feels really nice, and 10 and 2 spot is the right thickness. I like that a lot. Now, in terms of the parts that's glossy, you know, on the top and the bottom, how it's like a glossy wood, I thought that would actually slip around, but due to the thickness of it, it doesn't, and it actually feels really good. It's a good feel going from the glossy wood to the leather. I actually enjoy that. Even though acceleration getting up to 60, I said it was adequate, but you know, in terms of passing, there's actually absolutely no problems with it. You know, anytime you need to pass someone, there's plenty of torque, and this GX460 just moves when you put your foot down. Now that I'm up to speed, around 45 miles per hour, I would say it's still pretty quiet in here. Obviously now I could hear a bit more, like the cars passing by, I could hear a bit more of that. There's still no wind noise. Road noise, slightly higher, but overall, this is still a very quiet SUV. So many people flock to this GX460 because it kind of has the combination or the best of both worlds. And what I mean by that, well, take a look. The underpinnings and platform is shared with the Toyota 4Runner. And Toyota 4Runner is one of the most rugged and most reliable SUVs out there, right? There's so many people that drive 4Runners for 200, 300, 400,000 miles with very little fixes. So it has that ruggedness and reliability, but this GX460 just adds on top of that. You get the luxury features, right? The leather, the quietness, the comfortable suspension. You get all that included, and plus you get that V8 engine, which isn't available on the 4Runners anymore. So this is kind of the best of both worlds, where you get that ruggedness and the luxury combined together. And that is why so many people continue to buy GX460s, and why so many people love it.
Now, as for trim levels, there are 3 to this brand new GX460. You have the base, which starts around $53,000. Then you have the premium. That's actually the one I'm reviewing today. It's about $2,800 more, and you get wood accents, available second row captain chairs, and a third zone of climate control. Also, what's important is the sport design package, which includes many things on the outside and the inside that I talked about today. You can only get that package with the premium trim, not the base trim. So it's important to remember that. And finally, you have the luxury trim, which starts at $64,265. Now, you get a lot with this already, including adaptive variable suspension, exclusive 19-inch wheels, and power folding third row seats, among other things. And if you're looking for the off-road package that I talked about, that is new for this year, you can only get that configured in the luxury trim. You can't get that with the premium nor the base trims. Lastly, let's talk about the good and bad to this brand new GX460. Starting with the good, the new updated exterior styling is definitely good. Same thing with the updated interior changes. The GX460 is spacious and you have a great driving position. The off-road capability, including the new off-road package, is a big plus. The GX460 has a good V8 engine and transmission combo, and finally you have a very high resale value and great reliability with the GX460. Now, as for the bad, there are a few things as well. The GX460 does not do good with fuel economy. In fact, it's poor for this category. The old infotainment system has no Apple CarPlay nor Android Auto. The suspension is a tad bumpy. And there is some steering play, which unfortunately takes away from the steering. And finally, there is no power tailgate function. I'm giving the brand new GX460 an overall score of 95. And if you want to see how it compares with its peers, then check out driversonlyrankings.com. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel and check out some of these other videos.